Alex, I swear, there are some moments in life that just make my internal alarm bells go off, like full siren mode. And right now, just thinking about this topic, I can feel the heat rising.
Oh, I know that feeling. Is it the kind where your stomach does a little flip, or more like a sudden, all-encompassing dread?
Dread. Absolutely dread. We're talking about that heart-pounding, throat-tightening moment when you see someone you actually want to talk to, and your brain just totally short-circuits.
Ah, the dreaded, first word, scenario. It's like your mind is a perfectly organized library, and then someone just hits the shuffle all button on every single book.
Exactly. And then all the books just fly out the window. It's gone. Poof. Your entire vocabulary, your wit, your charm, all of it, just evaporates.
Leaving you with what, precisely? A blank stare? An awkward cough?
Worse. A desperate internal monologue screaming, say something. Anything. Don't just stand there like a mute statue. And then, usually, I just end up saying something utterly bizarre.
Bizarre, huh? Give me an example, Emma. I'm intrigued.
Oh, there are so many. I once tried to compliment someone's shoes, but instead of nice shoes, I blurted out, your shoes. They look really comfortable.
The legendary, comfortable shoes, incident. I thought that was an urban myth. You actually did that?
I did. And the look on their face, Alex, it was pure confusion. Like, are my shoes supposed to be uncomfortable? It was a disaster.
A disaster, yes, but a memorable one. And probably, dare I say, endearing in its own way.
I said, Alex, and I'm still hearing it echo in my nightmares, a truly horrifying auditory loop. Wow, Sarah, you actually look awake today. With a little too much emphasis on awake, if that's even possible. Like I was genuinely surprised she wasn't still unconscious, slumped over her keyboard, drooling onto her spreadsheets.
A low, drawn-out groan of pure recognition and empathy. Oh, Emma. Oh, no. That's a classic. The kind of comment that instantly makes you want to spontaneously combust, rematerialize as a potted plant, and then get immediately repotted in a different continent. I can almost see her face, frozen in that exact moment of bewildered mortification.
Frozen doesn't even begin to cover it. Her eyes, which had just moments before been sparkling with this new energy, just glazed over. Like someone had hit the pause button on her entire existence, and then maybe spilled a little bit of confusion all over her. The blood drained from her face faster than water down a particularly efficient plug hole.
And what did you do? Did you, in a moment of pure, unadulterated panic, try to backtrack? Because that's usually when things go from bad to why did I ever open my mouth and unleash this verbal monster territory? The instinct to fix it often just digs a deeper, more elaborate hole.
Of course I tried to backtrack. My immediate thought was, abort. Abort. Damage control, Emma, now. Engage emergency verbal override. So I started flapping my hands around like a deranged pigeon trying to take flight in a small office, and stammered, no, wait, I mean, yesterday, you just looked so tired, you know? And today you look, like, really alive. Like, full of life.
Oh, Emma. Sweet, innocent, self-sabotaging Emma. So your brilliant recovery strategy was to explicitly remind her, in vivid detail, that she previously looked like a zombie who'd lost a fight with a lawnmower, then got run over by a truck, and then had to present a quarterly report. Right to her face. Twice.
When you phrase it like that, Alex, it sounds less than ideal. Considerably less than ideal. But in my defense, my brain was in full-on emergency mode. It was grasping at any straw, any word, any nonsensical phrase to try and mend the gaping chasm I'd just created between us. It was pure, unadulterated panic speak.
I totally get it. That fix-it instinct, that desperate urge to patch up a social gaffe, often leads to digging a deeper, more elaborate hole, doesn't it? It's like trying to stop a small leak in a dam with a thimble. You just end up making a bigger mess. What did poor Sarah do after your magnificent clarification? Did she laugh? Did she cry? Did she just spontaneously ascend to a higher plane of consciousness?
She just blinked. Slowly. And then she gave me this tiny, tight little smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes, you know? The one that screams, I am politely tolerating this interaction, but internally I am screaming into the void. And she mumbled, thanks, Emma? It was barely audible, like a whispered plea for rescue. Then she just stared down at her keyboard, as if her entire future depended on deciphering the secret language of the F key and avoiding eye contact at all costs.
The tight smile of social horror. I know it well. That's the universal sign for, I will never forget this, but I will pretend to, for the sake of office harmony and my own sanity. So, you've successfully traumatized the new intern on her first week, made her question her career choices, and possibly instilled a deep-seated fear of compliments. Bravo, Emma, bravo.
Don't rub it in, Alex. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole, like a cartoon character falling into a trapdoor. Or for a giant, friendly octopus to emerge from the ceiling and gently carry me away to a dimension where I'd never have to face Sarah, or any human interaction, ever again.
A giant, friendly octopus is a solid escape plan. I'll add it to my emergency protocols. But short of that, what was actually going through your head in that moment? Was it just a complete cognitive short-circuit, a temporary lapse in judgment, or was there some misguided logic at play that you can now, in hindsight, articulate?
It was like my mouth just had its own rogue operating system, completely disconnected from my brain's quality control department. No, wait, a bad brain. A brain that specializes in saying the absolute worst, most utterly tone-deaf thing at the most inopportune moment, almost deliberately. Like it's playing a cruel joke on me.
The bad brain. I think we all have one of those lurking somewhere in our subconscious, waiting for its moment to shine, doesn't it? It's like a mischievous gremlin whispering terrible suggestions into your linguistic output, just for the sheer entertainment of watching you squirm. It thrives on awkwardness.
Exactly. And now, the horror. The existential dread. I have to see her every single day, Alex. Her desk is practically a landmark on my daily pilgrimage to the coffee machine. There's no avoiding the inevitable, excruciatingly awkward eye contact, the silent judgment, the lingering memory of my verbal gaffe.
Well, you could always develop a sudden, intense allergy to coffee and switch to lukewarm green tea. Or start bringing a thermos from home and take a ridiculously circuitous route to your desk, involving multiple stairwells, the rarely used freight elevator, and possibly a broom closet. Just an idea.
Sighs dramatically, clearly not amused. You're not helping, Alex. Not even a little bit. And I can't just pretend it never happened, can I? Because I know I won't forget it. And I'm pretty sure Sarah has already etched it into her memory, right next to her first childhood trauma, probably in indelible ink.
Probably. Humans are remarkably good at remembering embarrassing moments, especially when they're inflicted by others. But pretending it didn't happen? That's rarely the answer, Emma. It just leaves this weird, unspoken elephant in the room that grows larger, more aggressive, and starts demanding its own coffee with each passing day.
So what do I do? Do I go over there and apologize profusely, again, maybe with interpretive dance this time? Do I bake her cookies? Do I offer to do her photocopying for a week as penance for my verbal sins? I'm open to suggestions, even if they involve a ritualistic public self-flagellation with a feather duster.
Whoa, let's dial back the self-flagellation, Emma. We're aiming for resolution and rebuilding rapport, not medieval torture or a performance art piece. My advice, in these delicate social situations, is often to lean into the awkwardness.
Lean into it? Alex, are you suggesting I walk past her desk tomorrow and say, "Hey Sarah, still awake after yesterday's revelation that you might have been a zombie? Because if so, I might actually spontaneously combust, and then you'd have a real public relations disaster on your hands.
Not quite that aggressively, no. Although a touch of self-deprecating humor, delivered correctly, can work wonders. But leaning in means acknowledging the moment, without dwelling on it or making it bigger than it needs to be. It's about showing you're human, you made a mistake, and you're not trying to pretend it didn't happen or sweep it under the rug. It shows you respect her enough to address it.
But what if she thinks I'm making fun of her? Or that I'm still subtly implying she looked like a zombie before? My delivery, as we've established, isn't always nuanced. Sometimes it's more like a blunt instrument trying to perform delicate surgery.
That's a fair concern, and it highlights the importance of how you deliver the message. It's not about making a joke at her expense, but with the situation, or even better, at your own expense. A simple, "Hey Sarah, I really put my foot in my mouth yesterday, didn't I? I was trying to say you look great, and my brain just misfired." Delivered with a genuinely apologetic smile, a little eye contact, and a quick, sincere tone.
Mulls it over, a flicker of hope in her eyes. I really put my foot in my mouth yesterday, didn't I? It's direct. It acknowledges the elephant in the room. It doesn't try to re-explain the unexplainable, which I clearly can't do. It's less awful than I thought you were going to suggest, actually. Considerably less awful.
See? It's about owning it, Emma. It shows humility, which is incredibly disarming. And it gives her an opening to either laugh it off, or simply accept your acknowledgement and move on without any lingering weirdness. It takes the pressure off both of you to pretend it didn't happen, which is exhausting.
It's so tricky navigating work relationships, though. You want to be friendly, approachable, build rapport, but there's this invisible line, isn't there? One wrong step, one poorly chosen word, and you're suddenly the office weirdo who comments on people's sleep patterns and gets carried away by imaginary octopuses.
Absolutely. It's a tightrope walk across a chasm of potential social awkwardness. You want to be warm and human, but also maintain a professional distance. And sometimes, in trying to bridge that gap, in that moment of wanting to connect, we trip over our own good intentions and land face first in a puddle of gaffes.
That's it exactly. My intentions were pure. I just wanted to make her feel welcome, to show her that I noticed she was settling in and looking better. And instead, I made her feel scrutinized. And possibly judged. Like I was subtly criticizing her past appearance.
I know you did, Emma. Your heart was in the right place, truly. Your compassion and desire to connect are some of your best qualities. Your words, however, took a scenic detour through the land of awkward and misinterpreted, then got lost in the fog of verbal fumbles. A very common travel destination, I assure you.
A scenic detour? Alex, my words didn't just take a detour, they hijacked a bus, drove it off a cliff, parachuted into a swamp filled with alligators of shame, and then tried to sell them multi-level marketing schemes. It was a catastrophic verbal crash, a full-blown linguistic catastrophe.
Okay, a catastrophic verbal crash, a linguistic catastrophe. Point taken. You're really leaning into the drama, which I appreciate. But hey, we've all been there, Emma. Seriously. Every single one of us has a story of a truly mortifying workplace gaffe that replays in our minds at 3 a.m.
Really? You too, Mr. Smooth Operator, Mr. Always pulls off the perfect witty remark? I always picture you gliding through life, effortlessly charming everyone with your perfectly calibrated social interactions, like a well-oiled conversational machine.
Oh, trust me, my friend, my social navigation system has malfunctioned spectacularly on more than one occasion. I once told a new boss, during my very first week on the job, that his tie looked like, well, it looked like a cartoon character had thrown up on it. And then, for good measure, I tried to elaborate.
Gasps dramatically, then stifles a laugh, eyes wide with anticipation. Wait, seriously? A cartoon character threw up on his tie? Which one? Was it like Mickey Mouse? Or something more obscure, like a specific character from a lesser-known anime? Or maybe a deranged Muppet? Details, Alex, I need every agonizing, embarrassing detail.
It was definitely a duck. A very specific, very loud, very angry duck. The kind that honks aggressively at small children, steals their breadcrumbs, and probably has a surprisingly extensive criminal record. It was all these vibrant, clashing greens and purples and yellows, just screaming for attention, practically assaulting your eyeballs.
Bellowing with genuine, cathartic laughter, clutching her stomach, oh, Alex, no. A very specific, angry duck tie. This is incredible. And what did your poor, unsuspecting boss say? Did he just stare at you in horror, contemplating your immediate termination? Did he fire you on the spot, right there in the tie crime scene?
He just looked at me. With this completely unreadable expression, a perfect poker face that I still can't quite decipher to this day. And then, in a voice as flat as a pancake that's been run over by a steamroller, he said, "It's my favorite tie." And then he calmly, deliberately, turned and walked away.
Oh, wow. That's somehow even worse than Sarah's reaction. The quiet dignity of a man whose favorite, aggressive duck tie has just been verbally assaulted by his new employee. I can feel the secondhand cringe just thinking about it, like a phantom limb of awkwardness.
The silence was deafening, Emma. It was the kind of silence that makes you question your entire existence, your career choices, and whether you should just quit, move to a remote cabin in the woods, and become a hermit who communicates solely with squirrels. I just wanted to evaporate into the nearest air vent, never to be seen again.
So what did you do? What was your brilliant recovery strategy for the angry duck tie incident? Did you try to explain that you actually like aggressive waterfowl, and that you have a secret passion for quirky neckwear?
I mumbled something about appreciating bold fashion choices and the artistic merit of ducks in general, especially the angry ones. And then I executed a tactical retreat so swift and silent, it would make a ninja proud, which involved power walking away as fast as humanly possible without actually breaking into a full sprint. My dignity was barely clinging on by a thread.
Mumbling about ducks and a tactical retreat. That's your gold standard advice, Alex? I'm starting to seriously question your credentials as a social guru and podcast host. Maybe I should be giving you advice.
Hey, sometimes, Emma, damage control isn't about fixing it perfectly. It's about cutting your losses, preventing further catastrophic verbal assaults, and living to fight another day. It's a nuanced art, you know. Sometimes the best thing you can do is acknowledge the mistake and then gracefully, or awkwardly, exit the stage.
So, for Sarah, you think I should just be normal? And maybe not mention any more animals or speculate on her level of consciousness? Just pretend my brain didn't temporarily become a verbal wrecking ball?
Precisely. Be normal. And then, tomorrow, when you inevitably encounter her near the coffee machine, armed with your own internal bad brain filters firmly in place, you make a small, positive gesture. A gesture that speaks louder than any misspoken word.
A small, positive gesture? Like what? A subtle nod of acknowledgement that says, we both survived that train wreck? A shared, knowing glance that implies, yes, I am a clumsy human, but I mean well?
Better. A peace offering. You know she likes that oat milk latte, right? The one with the extra shot of espresso and a sprinkle of cinnamon?
Oh. Yes, I do. She mentioned it to someone yesterday, almost wistfully. A peace offering. A coffee. That's actually a really good idea, Alex. A tangible, warm gesture that says, I'm sorry for being a clumsy human, please accept this caffeinated olive branch as a token of my sincere regret.
Exactly. It's not about grand pronouncements or lengthy apologies, Emma. It's about showing genuine care, making a small, thoughtful effort to reset the interaction, and demonstrating that you're a considerate colleague. Most people are pretty forgiving when they sense good intentions, even if the execution was less than stellar.
I really hope so. I hope she just forgets the whole thing. Or at least, remembers it as a funny, quirky Emma moment, rather than the day the office weirdo told me I looked like a zombie and then doubled down on it.
She probably won't forget it entirely, Emma. Humans don't work that way. But she'll remember how you handled it afterwards. And that's what truly matters in building relationships, even after a stumble. It shows respect, empathy, and a willingness to own your imperfections. That speaks volumes.
Wow. That's actually really profound, Alex. Thank you. You always know how to turn my embarrassing mishaps into genuinely teachable moments. And make me feel slightly less like a social pariah who should probably just communicate via interpretive dance from now on.
It's my superpower. Turning other people's cringe into conversational gold, and occasionally, actual helpful advice. Just don't tell me my podcast sounds like an angry duck squawking into a microphone, or my ego might not recover from that particularly specific wound.
Laughs warmly, a genuine, joyful sound, no promises, Alex. But I will say, your advice is definitely more palatable and practical than a duck tie. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have a very important, strategically planned peace offering to orchestrate. Wish me luck.
Good luck, Emma. May your coffee be hot, and your words be perfectly aligned with your intentions. And may Sarah forgive your bad brain and embrace the deliciousness of oat milk.
Do you still feel embarrassed about your mistakes?
Sometimes, but less than before.
Why less?
Because I realized everyone makes mistakes.
Even native speakers.
Yes, they just make different kinds of mistakes.
That's true.
And most people are kind.
Except when they are in a hurry.
Yes, that is the dangerous time.
Maybe I should practice my coffee order at home.
That's actually a good idea.